Welcome back to another video, legends, and today we're going to take a closer look at the German-made tyre truer, the Overdrive. We're going to unbox it, we're going to set it up, I'm going to show you how simple this is to use. And if you do want one of these in Australia, stay tuned because I will give you the full details on where to buy one from. But let's have a play with the German-made Overdrive. So before we dive headfirst into the unboxing, I do want to thank Show US Ya Slotz in Australia. They are the Australian-New Zealand distributor of this incredible product. I have played with it, I have set it up. It's very well made, and of course, being from Germany, which is where Overdrive is, this is very, very well made. A nice solid piece of aluminium, and all the parts and components, which I will show you how to build this up, are of good quality. So again, if you are in Australia or New Zealand and you like this review and you like what you see, please check out Show US Ya Slotz. Of course, I'm not paid or sponsored by them, but they have sent this to me for review, and thank you to Overdrive in Germany. But now let's move on to what else we get in the box to build this baby up. So let's take a close look at some of the other items that Overdrive have sent to show off what their machine can do. And in front of you are three different axle setups. We'll start with the Carrera D124, made specifically for a Carrera D124 axle. As you can see, it is a lot different to the others. There is no axle fixed to the swing arm itself. What is a swing arm? Well, this is where the axle will be fitted, and then this is where you adjust the height so you can true the tires. This is sort of the brains of the operation. Now, why this one looks different? Well, you simply take out your full axle setup in the rear of your D124 or the front if you're truing the fronts, and this will simply drop into place. You'll fix off a pulley and she's good to go. Now, I won't be using this on camera, but the application is as simple as that. And the setup will be the same as how I set one of these up when I show you a full example. So for you 124 Carrera users out there, there is an add-on swivel that you can purchase. Let's move on to the style that I will be using, but not the size. This is a fitted axle already. Now it is movable, it's not fixed in place, you can take it out, but this swivel arm takes a 3mm axle, as you can see, and this is a little bit different. You don't put a full axle in there, you take your rim and tire off your axle already. This is a 2.38, and you fit your rim and tire onto the provided axle. You will see this one in action today, but in a smaller version, which is the 2.38, which is what I've got in my hands right now. Same again, you'll take your rim off, you'll fit it to the axle that's already situated inside the swivel arm, and away she goes once a pulley is fitted. I will show you a full example on how to set this one up, which will work the same as the rest, including the 3mm and of course the 124, which takes the full axle itself. So let's check out what else we have to build up this machine. It is a very simple device to use, but there's a couple other pieces we need to talk about, then we can set it up and give it a test run. So most importantly, we do have a color instructions in here. It's in German and in English. Now I have read through this to make sure I'm doing everything correct and I'm giving you the right information. As you can see there, that is a final setup, which hopefully ours will look like that at the end. It is a very smart and easy device to use. But let's go through the other items that they've sent me. This is your adjuster arm. This will make sense once it's fitted. This would tell you your height or set your height of how low or high your tire will sit on the sandpaper, and it will hold it in place. Very easy to use, and again, the German design has made it very simple. Moving on to our pulleys, we do have a 3mm pulley, which is for our 3mm swivel arm. If you remember before, I showed you this. This is the pulley that matches that 3mm axle. Once again, I will show you how that is fitted. And we're moving on to this box of goodies. We do have some rubber stoppers, some sandpaper. We have our sanding block, which will make sense in a tick. We have a 2.38mm pulley for our little axle setup here, and a Allen key, which will get the job done. So now the time has come. Let's bring the Overdrive into play. I'll show you how to set up the 2.38mm, which is the same as the rest, and then we'll true some tires. So before we fit the 2.38mm swing arm setup, I did want to show you how I received the Overdrive tyre truer from Show US Ya Slotz. Of course, we've got negative and positive banana clips, which are already pre-soldered from factory. We do have a very, very nice sized pulley belt, which is great to see. This won't snap in a hurry. Torquing motor, well, one of the key points I want to mention is do not run this over 5 volts. The instruction states under 5 volts. You don't want to run these too quick anyways, hence why I'm using a adjustable power supply. And I did have a swing arm already fitted to the tyre truer, which this one is very much like the D124. It will take a full setup rear axle from your car, straight from the car to the axle, to the swing arm itself. We won't be using this, but I will show you how to take it off and put a new one on. We do have 2 grub screws to worry about, one on the top and one on the bottom. I'll be using the top only to remove the axle that goes through the swing arm, and I'll be fitting the new one to show you exactly how easy it is to do. So let's get stuck into that. Let's set this up ready for some 2.38mm tire truing action. So let's remove the swivel arm that's already attached to the truer by untightening the torque screw that's on top. Slide out the axle that's attached to the swing arm. Don't pull it all the way out, just enough to get this one loose. And as you can see, it's now come apart. We do want to set up our 2.38. Here's a critical step. Don't forget your belt will have to come across the front, as you can see. And then when you put the axle through, which will go through here, you don't want the belt behind it. You want the belt past it, which let's see if we can do this on camera. So we'll slide it in. We'll get the axle lined up. In she goes. And I will show you a close-up of it. And we've done that perfectly. Look at that. And of course, I'll tighten up the torque screw. I just want to show you what the belt should look like. As you can see, it's not behind the axle, it is in front of it, which then we will slip over the pulley itself. So let's tighten up that torque screw. Nice and tight. That's grabbed on. Now we want to pull the belt through, and that'll pop up, and you'll choose one of the pulley arms. Now there's 3 guides here, and you can choose which one you want it to go in. And that's simply fitting and removing a swing arm. Now, yes, it's balancing up and down. We'll fix that problem in the next step. Just underneath here, you'll see that you do have a little push pin. That just helps when you adjust the height, that you just don't hit the floor. It actually guides it down, which in this step, I'll show you now how to set up the height. So setting up our height adjuster, it's very simple, but again, well made. We do have this slider arm. We've got ourselves a washer and a screw. And as you can see here on top here, we do have a channel that's cut out with a thread. So we'll sit this down here. We'll put in our second smaller screw. We'll just get that to bite. We don't want to screw it down tight, and we'll slide this across. Now what we can do is we can now lower the swing arm. And as you can see, it will go past that cutout. We can now slide this back over just so it's past. Let's just adjust this down so it stops it from flying back up. As you can see, it's spring loaded. We'll leave that there. Let's tighten the little one up, which that'll hold it in place. And now you can adjust the height. As you can see, we still push it down, but you can adjust the height by widening this screw in, which will then lower the swing arm onto the sanding plate. Very genius, very simple. And then once you're done, you'll hold it, screw this up so it becomes loose, and then you can slide this out the way. Undo the little one, and then we slide it across, and now you can actually change the swing arm. Very smart, very easy. But now let me show you how to fit a 2.38 axle with rim on. Very simple, and the pulley that you need for the belt to be able to run the tire truer properly. So the time has come now to fit our 2.38mm axle. Now there's 2 ways we can do it. We can use the original axle that's fitted to these 2 rims simply by removing one of the rims with the grub screw, and then we feed our axle through, or we can take both off and use the one that's supplied. It's completely up to you. You never know, this one might be bent. You know the one that's in the box itself is straight. So I'm going to take both rims off for this example, the hardest way to do it. But the best thing you need to know first is do not try and take the axle off when there is pressure on the swing arm, because the belt will hold the axle in place. And if you eventually do get the axle out, well, of course, this thing's just going to spring back. So have the swing arm back to its resting spot, and then you can pull the axle out. And it's simply by removing both these rims with their grub screws. And again, you can take one off, slide it through, grub screw it up, but let's do the hard way first, and then we'll fit the pulley. So we fitted off our axle that's supplied in the box. I've put both rims on. Now it's time to fit the right pulley so we can run the belt across and get those tires moving. Now you will know if the pulley's not the right size because the axle either won't fit down the slot, our little Pac-Man, or it will, but it will move around a lot. Now this one is a 2.38mm pulley, and your axle will sit in that nice little concave, and you simply just nip up that little grub screw, which will then hold the pulley in place so you can run the belt across. So let's do that quickly now on camera. Now I just make sure I press it towards me nice and tight, give it a little nip down. That's enough to hold it down. Now we've got the pulley on. As you can see, it's spinning freely with the wheels. Now we want to put the belt across. That's as simply as dropping it on and then choosing where you want to sit the belt on the rear. Now we'll quickly show you that. There is 3 slots on the rear. I want to make sure it's centered. So let's turn that back down. Now we pull it down, a little bit of force, hold that there. And now this is where we just put some adjustment on the height just to hold it in place. So I'm going to wind this down so it takes the slack off my finger. And now we can fit up the sanding block, which is this nice big bit of aluminium, and the supplied sandpaper inside. And it's simply as putting the sandpaper on both sides of the block and we slide it underneath. Then we can adjust our height, then power it up. So let's do that. Let's move over to the adjustable power supply. Let's put our sanding block down and let's give these tires a little bit of a tickle. So our tire truer by Overdrive is ready to rock and roll. I've got it set up on top of my power supply. Let's have a quick look at the slider plate first. Now you do get 2 bits of sandpaper supplied in the box. They are double-sided adhesive and I've ran them as close as I can to the channel. The slider block slides very easily underneath. There is a little bit of up and down play, but to set it up, we'll start with the pulley centered to the channel itself so we don't bottom out. Now we'll lower it a little bit by using the height adjustment, and now let's just make sure our belt is in the right center. There we go. Let's turn the power supply on. I'm going to give it a little bit of power and we're going to lower it down so it bites, making sure that they go down level. Now you might find one side needing more work than the other, but then it's as simple as moving backwards and forwards like so. Now these are very old tires, and as you can see, I need to run some more power, but it's simple as moving them backwards and forwards and stopping and making sure that you're getting the right job done. Simple as that. Now I'm not an expert when it comes to truing tires, but already these will perform better. You'll get a nice true line, and it's as simple as doing that. Now once you've used the sandpaper, of course you can take it off, flip it around and replace it real easily, but this is a very simple device to use.